Christianity and Scripture fell victim and into the hands of the Roman Empire around the 4th century, we are told. Under Emperor Constantine, Christianity was fused with many of the pagan practices of Rome. Under his reign, the empire formed a strong alliance with the church. The laws and policies of the empire and the doctrine of the church became a synonymous entity. Through a series of councils, Constantine, his peers and successors successfully began thwarting and eliminating whatever did not fit in with their vision. They began institutionalizing beliefs and practices that did not exist before, but which have remained a cornerstone in the teaching of the church today. And despite what some historians claim, this would have brought on an inevitable process of distortion and redaction of Scripture itself. There are hundreds of books missing from the original collection known as the Bible. Some have suggested that originally the Bible contained well over 500 books. It now contains 66, their favorite number, a very important number. The missing books are now referred to as the Lost Books. The Apocrypha is not the entirety of the Lost Books, it is a handful. Lost is an interesting word. It was coined, we are told, in the 1300s. Its original definition is wasted, ruined, spent in vain. It stems from the Old English loss, which means destruction. The books are not lost, they were either destroyed or hidden. They are the forbidden books of the Bible. It needs to be emphasized once more. During the Great Reset, the controllers established the major religions that now govern and influence our world. This is imperative to understand. It does not mean that people did not worship God before, or that the scriptures are entirely illegitimate. It means they have thwarted our historical ancestors' understanding of our world and God. It means they have redacted huge portions of text, hidden entire books, and used religious organizations to manipulate and yoke together practices that did not exist before. An example of which is Sunday worship. The Roman Empire fused Christianity with the pagan worship of the sun, which resulted in the Sabbath changing from Saturday to Sunday. More on this later. And some would reason that if the controllers have faked so much history and continually subjected us to psyop after psyop, then why should we trust anything that was written and collected into the Bible, or any text for that matter? It is a very valid question, and one I have considered for a long time. It's almost impossible to discern what is a genuine historical artifact and what is fraudulent. And they have been caught faking artifacts over and over again. We only have our eyes, so what do we see? We see the controllers and their puppets again and again trying to steer people away from the scriptures. To pollute the minds of the young and convince millions that they are nothing more than a mythological collection of stories wrought together by our ancient and primitive ancestors who were trying to make sense of the world around them. If the scriptures were a fraudulent fiction, why the effort to prevent people from considering them? And why do we see with our own eyes again and again, Masons and other controller puppets refusing to swear on the Bible?
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black if you ever thought of it. Say that misrepresented myself. Get away from me. You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Why wouldn't the astronauts, who have lied to the world over and over again, and participated in one of the greatest lies of all time, not just commit another dishonest act and place their dirty hands on the Bible and swear that they landed on the moon? They won't do it, which is strange. Do they fear this act more than lying about their little journey into the great fiction of space? Are there consequences that come with placing your hand on a text like this and taking an oath? And then there is the almost mind-boggling presence and prevalence of demon worship that has spread throughout our world and that stems from those in higher places. And it is mind-boggling, especially if you are asleep and see the world through your prescribed prism. Are they just insane? Are they just being edgy? Maybe it's all just a coincidence. But those awake see a little more clearly. It is not mind-boggling. It all makes sense. The controllers do not want people turning to God or going near the scriptures with serious intentions, and they've hidden many texts to stop people finding out the truth. But God works in mysterious ways, and there do exist many fragments, some much more comprehensive than others, of these lost books. Some were discovered during and after the Great Reset and have been made accessible. The controllers love control, but they do not have full control. They also adore hiding things in plain sight. To hide something in plain sight, even if it goes unnoticed by the recipient, is akin to receiving informed consent, and this is very important. And I understand that many will not consider anything outside of the established canonical King James selection as potentially legitimate. But again, this is another prism, and it has kept many rooted in not coming closer to the truth. In this sense, the Reformation, or the Great Redaction of Scripture, has been a success, but I also understand the hesitancy regarding extra scriptural texts or forgotten fragments, and the susceptibility for these to be fraudulent or forgeries. And that's why it is necessary to cross-reference these texts with the books contained within the canonical Bible. It is also important to cross-reference them with other religious texts and historical accounts.